Three, two,
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here at Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going on about a suggestion that comes from my fiance, Tammy. Tammy, I think one of the reasons why you decided to bring this one to the table is because some people here have never even seen it, and we are surprised. Tammy,
Yes,
why don't you tell us what exactly what film you brought to the table?
Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
So, I can't bring that little thing up with the rundown like you can. So,
Oh,
the IMDb thing, I
oh,
can't get that
I'll
thing
bring
up.
that up in a moment. But the film is directed by Jonathan Demme. Filmed in 1991. And let's see, IMDb sometimes, not always, but sometimes actually has a
Well, one
nice.
thing what we can tell you about this is, David and I both watched behind the scenes on this movie, and we know that it had a very low budget. Nobody expected it to do what it did. It surpassed everything that they expected. And that's why we were kind of surprised that a couple people have not seen this movie, because it became a more of a phenomenon than anybody thought it was going to be.
Mhm. So IMDb says what it says about this film is a young FBI cadet must receive the help of an incarcerated and manipulative cannibal killer to help catch another serial killer, a madman who skins his victims. And I do know that it is based on a book that was originally by Thomas Harris. But the screenplay for this was put together by Ted Talley and Thomas Harris. But the film stars Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, Lawrence Bonney, Casey Lemons, Lawrence T. Rents, Scott Glenn, Anthony Held, Frankie Faison, Don Brockett, among many others. So, Tammy, did you want to go around and ask us our first impressions?
Sure. We start with you, Philippe.
Oh,
What's your first
so
impression?
yeah, I must say this was actually the first time I watched this movie, which I know is a shame because it's a classic. But when you said there were people here who didn't watch it before, that makes me wonder who else among you never watched it before. And okay, we will get to that.
Putz.
Sorry, what?
I said putz.
What does that mean?
Goober.
Sorry, I don't understand.
He's just
Numbnuts.
He's just being a goof, calling you names. A
I said it the same time or before you that I hadn't seen the movie. Actually, yeah, before you that I hadn't seen it. And then you said you hadn't seen it.
Oh,
is a stupid or worthless person. I'm not some two-bit putz who doesn't know the difference between Outso and Dom Perignon, or
so
engage in inconsequential or unproductive activity. Too much putzing around up there would ruin them.
okay. So So during the last discussion, you said that you had not watched this movie before.
Correct.
which means he is also a putz.
uh, okay, so yeah, although I generally am a horror fan, it's a fact that there are many
And I'm
horror
not.
there are many horror classics that I have not watched, which is mainly because when I choose a horror movie to watch, I usually go for some with particular themes that I'm interested in, which is more common among some obscure movies than among some horror classics. So, yeah, this was the first time I watched this movie, and it was interesting, kind of different from what I expected. I must say, it maybe takes a little too long to become really suspenseful, but once it does get there, it's really good. There,
So did you enjoy it?
do you still hear me?
Huh?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear
I
you.
had a glitch. Uh, okay, what was the last thing you heard me say?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Uh, okay. The movie maybe takes a little too long to get really suspenseful, but once it gets there, it's really good. It has some interesting characters. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, of course, and the other killer was kind of interesting too. There were some things that I found kind of confusing, but we will get to those as well. So, all in all, maybe I didn't like become a super fan of this movie, but it was definitely worth seeing.
So did you
Right.
enjoy it though?
Yes, yes. Like I said, maybe at the beginning it took a little too long to get really exciting, but when things finally started to unfold, it was quite interesting.
Okay. Is that it then?
For now, yeah.
Okay. All right, Crow Lecter.
This is the first time I watched it, in case nobody knows that. Yeah, I'm not a huge horror fan. My mother was, and I watched a billion movies. Okay, maybe not a billion, but I watched a lot of horror movies when I was younger. So I kind of got worn out on some of them, except for like monster movies. Still enjoy them. Um, so I mean, I heard about this, and I was kind of interested into watching it. It's a nice psychological thriller. So definitely something that's a little more interesting. Uh, I do like things of the mind and everything. Um, so uh, I'm glad I'm glad it was chosen for us to watch because I probably wouldn't watch it otherwise. So, kind of want to watch Hannibal, but I probably won't watch it. Um, but yeah, I thought the movie was great, and I just want to say I can't be too long on this podcast. I'm gonna have a friend for dinner.
Okay.
A
uh,
friend
No,
for
you
anyway,
gotta
dinner.
do that.
Nice.
You gotta do the. I can't do it.
um, anyways, yeah, I cannot
He does
do
it.
it.
He does it.
Hannibal Lecter. I mean, Anthony Hopkins again. He is just absolutely incredible at playing a perfect psychopath. One that, in a way, you almost root for him, but you can't because he's a psychopath. But he just I don't know. He just has that. He just has that intelligent charm about him. You know, and the greatest thing is he's not afraid to ask anything he wants. Whatever's on his mind, he wants to ask. He asks, no matter what it is or who it offends or how it offends. And Anthony Hopkins just does. I mean, he's so believable in the role. It's like even the way he like looks at you or looks at the camera, or the other person. He just looked like he's like looking into his eyes, like, oh yeah, this guy's a psychopath. You know, but I'm pretty sure Anthony Hopkins isn't a psychopath, but yet he still does such an awesome job. You look at him into his eyes, and he looks like he's a psychopath. So I mean, that's acting.
Well,
That's
Well, like I told David when we were watching it, um, when he got into um, saying some of the things he said, and then like the other ones when she was walking, when we'll get to it, but when she was walking there, you know, inmates themselves do a lot of the things that he did, and because they don't have anything better to do than to harass the guards. I've been a corrections officer, okay, and especially the ones that are in the actual cell block. There, where I worked, there was dorms, and there'd be 50 to 70 of them in the dorm setting, and you're there. And the ones that were naughty then went to the cell block. And I'll tell you what, the ones that are in the cell block, oh yeah, they will say whatever they can to get under your skin, and it'll talk about your mother and your brother and your this and your that, and how you look and how this and they will throw things at you and everything. So you have to have a thick skin for what they're gonna say to you, and you know,
thick
um,
skin,
oh
oh, no
Buffalo
yes,
wonder
Bill
you're able to
pun
put up with.
intended.
No wonder
you
you're able to
can't
put
let
up
it
with
bother
David,
you. You know,
right,
Yeah,
Tammy?
that
huh?
means Buffalo Bill cannot even cut into your
I,
skin.
I said, no wonder you're able to put up with Dave.
For the most part, I can. But when
But
I was there, though,
I know what
I
nerves to hit, and she does too. So it's like,
when I,
right,
when you're actually the officer, though, if they say something hurtful, you can't show them that they hurt your feelings. You can't do
Right,
that. You
right.
know. So anything
Well,
else?
as they say,
Well, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say how much, I mean, I knew it was a classic going in, and I can see why it's a classic. He did such a great job, as well as Jodie Foster did incredible. I mean, she was so young there in this movie. Um, yeah, so incredible job, absolutely incredible job. And I can't who played Buffalo Bill dude. Yeah, he was very well done too. He played a good psychopath as well. Um, no Anthony Hopkins, but there's only one of those. So I just wanted to say that. So on with the show.
Philippe, you were trying to throw something in there. What was that?
when you said about how you mustn't show if those people hurt your feelings, I was going to say, as they say, it's not important what was said, but who said it. And in a situation like that, you should know that no matter what shit comes from those people, it shouldn't be taken seriously simply because their intention is to hurt you. So whatever they say shouldn't have any significance.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things in training, for being an officer that they tell you, and you do remember that when they're doing it. It's just it doesn't make it any easier at times though, because they can be very nasty, very cruel, and so
And certain words can get under your skin. So
that's why
Mm,
I did not like it when I had to work the cell block. I hated working the cell blocks. I liked working the dorm a whole lot better.
I
Yo,
can smell your pussy from here.
I think he said cunt.
Yeah, he did, but I was just making an example.
Oh,
so go ahead, David. What are your thoughts?
Well, I came at this a different angle. I read the book first, um,
ooh,
and then much later I watched the movie, and then some years back, like maybe 10 years, I found out that there was a movie that was in the late 70s that was before this uh, film that was called Manhunter, and that was based on Thomas Harris's Red Dragon, which they have now since remade with with Anthony Hopkins in it. But for a time, uh, this this and Manhunter were the only ones I had seen.
And most
And
people never heard of Manhunter.
huh?
I said, and most people never heard of Manhunter.
Actually, most film lovers that I've come across
I
have heard.
said most people. Listen to the words that I'm saying coming out of my mouth. I didn't say
Uh,
film lovers.
I still think that you will find more people who would actually know about it. But um, that being said, I did enjoy this movie. One thing that often is not talked about is the whole mentor student relationship between her and Crawford, Clarice and Crawford, because in the book uh, there was definitely a heavily a heavy thing between her and Crawford. Like she really, it was more than just mentor. She actually had feelings for him, and I think he her. And she didn't let that happen or come across as strongly as it was in the novel. But it
ooh.
was there. Um, I think Crawford was more in the background in this movie than he was in the book. So there is that angle. Um, and but I do like the initial meeting of Hannibal Lecter. I mean, you're already supposed to know about Hannibal Lecter and his like nasty doings. Like you're expected to realize that this dude is a bad dude. You know, and that's one thing you have to know going into it. You're already supposed to know his history, and he's just someone to get the means to to another end.
Pretty much guess his history. I mean, okay, I've heard things throughout the years, but I mean, the movie pretty much tells you, through. I mean, it doesn't straight out come out and tell you, but I mean, it does, it doesn't. It gets to it throughout the story. You find out his story as you can find out everything else. So you don't need to watch, uh, read the book or watch anything or even have known anything about the movie ahead of time. I mean, like I said, I heard things over the years, but still, I mean, it tells you, yeah, okay, he ate his victim. So I mean, you think he was in this prison. Okay, he's probably fucking some kind of murder, and they called him a monster too. So okay, so he did something horrible. even before you know exactly what he did, you kind of consider it out. I mean, they slowly tell you, while they tell the rest of the other story. So
And
you don't
I
really
I
need to know ahead, huh?
I like Jodie Foster in the role of Clarice, at least in this particular film. Uh, Specifically because she comes off as being strong, but also very vulnerable. You know, she portrays that vulnerability to Lecter, and I think that's what gets him to open up. About certain things. And Lecter begins to have some kind of like mutual respect for her and respect of her person as time goes on, and that's one of the things that I like about this is that yes, Hannibal is a killer, but there are things about him that are very much make him a gentleman. You know, he could be like the person sitting next to you. And yet if he really gets pissed off at you, you'll become his dinner. You
My
know,
visionary
I mean, I don't know if any of you know, since you guys haven't seen hadn't seen Silence of the Lambs before this. There is a TV series called Hannibal
I know.
that was really fun.
I heard, but haven't seen it.
It was
Yeah, it's
actually
got
pretty good.
Mads Mikkelsen plays Hannibal in that, and
Ooh.
he plays him pretty good, darn good. But yeah, I enjoy this movie. It's kind of interesting to see the bits and pieces of Clarice and him together.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah. Um, and I think this movie actually has some very quotable lines. Like I know a lot of people end up like re-saying that it gets the lotion on its skin unless it gets the hose again. And the whole precious scene.
Can you
Um,
make the little noise that he does?
the whole,
Yeah.
the and my father has a can of fava beans
Yeah.
or something like that,
So are
and
you
a
all
nice
done
can
now?
of Chianti. But yeah, I enjoyed watching this movie. I don't think I saw it in the theaters, but I did um, see it on VHS at one point in time, and then eventually when I had it on DVD. And I'm sure I can save this for when when and if we do Hannibal, but I saw Hannibal in the actual theaters. So, but um, that being said, what about you, Tammy? When was
Oh,
your first encounter?
what year did you say this came out again?
1991.
The year I was born.
Then I think I am right. I believe I actually saw this in the theater my first time because the people I was hanging out with, if I remember, heard about it and it was a big deal. Everybody wanted to go see it. Um,
I guess.
I believe I did see it in the theater the first time. So, yeah, I enjoyed it the first time too. It was just, what the first time he did that little noise, that little, it was like, oh, okay, that's kind of creepy. But I like the whole psychological thing about it, and you know, like what's been said before already today. Anthony Hopkins just he really makes you believe he is, you know, Hannibal. Like Crow said, even when you look into his eyes, it's just, he really, really brings the part, you know, to the table. I mean, you believe he is Hannibal, and Jodie Foster, she does an excellent job too of being being smart, but yet reserved, but yet a little meek. Just she does it good. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I like the psychological thriller part of it. You know, I do like my horror movies and all that stuff, but I like stuff like this too, where it's like you wonder what's gonna come up next. What's he gonna do next? I like that.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I guess we should move on, unless anybody else has something to say.
Nope. I think I've said my piece, at least for now. But I believe the film starts with her running the FBI training course.
Yep, and she gets pulled into Crawford's office because he wants to he wants to send her to talk to Hannibal because of a serial killer that um, they have, and he thinks that she can get some insight from Hannibal as to who this person may be. So he wants to send her because of how Hannibal is. If he because if he sends her with like that totally agenda of wanting to see what he has to say, he won't say anything. So he needs somebody that's fresh. Crawford needs somebody that's fresh, and she's just going to interview him because otherwise she won't get any information out of him. So, what do you think about? Does everybody think about this little play that we don't realize it quite at first until after she interviews Hannibal as to what's going on, but you see why Crawford. Do you understand why Crawford sent her and why he didn't
Well,
tell her anything?
number one, she's just a trainee. Um, so she's kind of just freshly FBI, sort of. She's kind of still learning the ropes. And she's Crawford's favorite student. So, and I do really think that he does respect her opinion. And I think that's why he wants her to go and just observe, basically, and see if it causes any kind of reaction out of a lector, to see if, like, maybe he might impart some information off to her, or vice versa. Everyone that they've sent in has tried and failed, and in a sense, it's almost like she's like his last, his last resort, before, because it seems like Crawford also has his own intel, which is why he's often like you'll often have him having conversations like in a helicopter, or this and that. He doesn't want to rely on her entirely. He's going on his own manhunt, yet still like having her do her own like sort of investigation. So that's what I'm seeing. But
Yeah.
what did y'all think about that first uh, meeting between Clarice and Lecter when she finally went down in there? Oh, and I do have to mention the psychiatric I'm not even sure what to call him. I think this is a psych ward that he is in of sorts, like a mental
Something
hospital.
like that, I think.
It's director. What is his name? Childs is his name.
Chilton.
Chilton. Oh, he's a
Uh,
character. What do y'all think of Chilton?
Papa's asshole.
Who shit?
yeah, I uh, well, I must say, since I've seen the movie only once, I kind of had difficulties following which one was him and which one was Crawford. Uh,
I know who Crawford is. Who's Shilton?
I think Crawford's okay,
sorry,
but
what did you say?
I said I know who Crawford is. Who's Shilton?
Uh, he was. I think I know. He was that guy who was being an asshole to Clarice. But actually, I kind of didn't understand
The,
why he was being the way he was.
the warden?
I
well,
guess.
the warden's just an asshole. I mean, you know, he's a jerk.
No, I said
You know,
that's who that guy is.
Yeah. In fact, I think he's more of an asshole on the television show, but he is not a nice person. He does not have the patient's well-being in hand. In fact, on the television show, not that that it has anything thing really to do with this film entirely, but on the television show, he actually has experimentations of his own on his patients, and does not treat them in any way, shape, or form the way they should be actually treated. And in fact, one of the things he does in this film is he actually videotapes the whole fucking thing, and he's actually in the book getting off on the interaction between Clarice and um, uh, Hannibal Lecter. But in any case, uh, which is
well,
why. Go ahead.
on this first meeting, Jodie Foster plays it really good, but you can tell that her character is actually nervous about meeting him and nervous about doing everything the way she's supposed to. And then when he comes up with some of his questions, that throws her off guard, but she seems to try and keep her wits about her anyways, and you know, I think she does it really well.
Well,
Is this
yeah,
on YouTube?
going in.
Is this live on YouTube?
Yeah.
What?
What were you saying?
Is this live on YouTube?
Yes, it is
Where?
on the channel.
Wow, that's so helpful. I'll go tell her.
Oh, hold on. Did you want me to give you a link?
That'd be helpful. Or tell me the link.
Alrighty. But in any case, Tammy, you were saying?
I'm done.
Okay. Well, I believe during this first initial meeting is I sent you the link, Ron. So
I'm looking where?
it's in your Facebook chat.
Well, I wasn't looking then.
But in any case, I believe during this first initial meeting, she has him do a questionnaire. And I believe it's not until the next meeting that he actually gives her that questionnaire back. But I believe, okay, so there is something that happens where we actually get her starting to leave the area, and the prisoner next door to her, or next door to him, actually jacks off and throws his cum in her face. And another prisoner tells him, you idiot, or you stupid fool. And she goes back,
Bullseye.
and he basically tells her, Hannibal does, about this patient that he used to see by the name of Moffat, and saying something about you serve something. So she takes that information and runs it down, and finds out that there is a storage unit called You Serve Self Storage, and she hunts it down, and she finds out that there is a patient. One thing Tammy told me was about the jack, that she actually had to jack the garage up with. What did you call it?
A bumper jack.
A bumper jack, which I had never even heard of. Evidently, it's a jack that it has a niche in it that is supposed to go on your front bumper of your car, and then jack it up from the bumper of the car, which nowadays jacks just go on the side of the car and then jack it up from there, you know. But
But older cars had, it was a bumper jack, and there was a niche in the bumper, and that's where you would put the jack.
So she goes inside, and I believe I saw an organ, some lamps and stuff. But she goes to this car that it looks like it was draped over with like an American flag or something like that. And there is a head in a jar that is there. Also, there is a body that is found. What did y'all think about that body of that girl? I believe that's another thing that Hannibal said, that there is also another victim.
Oh yeah, I was left wondering where was he even getting all that information from?
Probably all from Uh, he also said later, all of it uh, uh, can be said from his profile. From the information that's there, like what he was going to do, where who he was, all
Oh,
that jazz. He said that all that you need to find is in his information. You know, it's just you had to know where and how to look. And Hannibal was very cryptic about what he would say, because ultimately Clarice found out that he not only did Hannibal know the guy, but he knew where he was and what he was doing. But he didn't want to outrightly like call him out. I think ultimately like he had been a patient of his at one point in time.
I think
Buffalo
so.
Bill.
Yeah.
But what do we think about uh, the first victim that we actually see the bloated body that was in the yeah, I believe it was in a river or a bog,
Uh, yeah, I think it was a river.
and the autopsy. Of course, they put that white stuff on their underneath their noses for the smell. And when they found what they found inside the throat of this body, what did you think about
Uh, it was nasty. Uh, in the throat, you say, right?
that? Yes.
Oh, fucking gross. The
What did you think
the
about that part, Kroll? What did you think that they had found in the throat of that victim?
What did I think it was the first? Oh, I thought it was a jalapeno.
You thought it was a jalapeno?
Yeah, it looked like a jalapeno to me.
I must
Why do you stuff a jalapeno down her throat? And they said what it was. I'm like, oh, guess I was wrong.
I must say the whole insect aspect of this movie was by far the most unstomachable to me.
Well, I found it to be one of the more interesting aspects because
That's not as disturbing.
Uh,
it is a unique thing. I've actually looked it up. Eventually, she took Clarice took that um, cocoon, because that's what it was. It was a cocoon, and took it to some nerdy guys that were playing chess, like in some library that she knew. Which I guess there was this small moment where one of the nerdy guys he had some googly eyes, and was hitting on her. They basically told her it was a death's head moth, which is mostly found in Europe or Asia. Um, and the one guy said that somebody really loved this insect, and I looked it up. It is a real moth, and I do believe it is the largest of the moth species, and there is on its head the shape of a human skull in its design. So that is kind of creepy to think about, But
uh, Actually, I heard of those insects before. but didn't do much research on them, but I knew they existed.
Yeah, I believe they have a wingspan of 5 centimeters across, which is a large large moth with a wingspan. Span. Normally, moths wingspan are maybe 2 centimeters, if not less. So, but in any case, moving forward, where see in that head in that jar, uh, they also found a similar um, uh, similar moth uh, cocoon. So I do believe that they connected the two to be, and I believe they connected the head as being like maybe the first victim of uh, our Buffalo Bill character. And what do y'all think of our Buffalo Bill character when we first see him? Because I do believe we start seeing bits and pieces of him, but the first time we actually see him is he's struggling to put a couch chair into his van, and also this victim who was listening to some music on her way back from a party. She looks like she's slightly hippie-ish, and she comes home, and Tammy says she feels
Good
bad.
song.
Tammy said she felt bad for the kitty in the window.
I don't know if you know,
Yeah.
like all the victims had kitty cats.
Right?
Well, that poor kitty sees her come home. She talks to it, says she'll be right up, and then the kitty sees her gone, and it's sitting there. The poor kitty, she never got, her. Its mommy never came home. Actually, poor kitty.
Well, and she sees him struggling, so she does what anyone would do, because it does really look like he's struggling to get it into the van. Um, but she goes and helps him like any good person would do, you know. But she makes the mistake of of trusting him and having her go first into the van, and then him pushing it in, and then him going in afterwards. Well, after he bludgeoned her with his fists, and of course he asks if she's size 14, and he goes and checks. Yes, she is, and he cuts her clothing off and leaves it behind. And I believe that's when the mayor gets
Senator,
involved.
Senator,
Yep, the senator.
her daughter.
But also, he when Hannibal Lecter um, meets the senator, he the last thing he says to her is, "Oh, one more thing, Miss Mayor, love the suit."
Oh yeah, what was the point of that?
Oh, um, just to be funny, just to be a sicko. Um, uh, Especially since eventually we found out that Buffalo Bill was in fact making a human female suit.
Oh, I yeah. Yeah, and I suppose Hannibal knew that, right?
Yes, um, he knew
Interesting.
more than he was letting on, but
And Hannibal's thinking, what a waste of good food.
and one of the things we ought to mention is that Crawford actually allowed Clarice to um, give Hannibal Lecter um, an option to have a room with a view, um, and it was all in fact a lie. But Hannibal believed her at the time, and it wasn't until he was going to be transferred at all is when Chilton decided to be an asshole and tell him the whole thing was a farce.
Oh yeah, that was a part that confused me. Like, since they still hadn't released the girl, why would he tell him that? Like,
Because Chilton was an asshole.
yeah,
Uh,
but what did he gain by telling him that? I mean, wasn't he just putting the whole mission in jeopardy by pissing him
yes, he
off?
was. Yes, he was. In fact, one of the reasons why he did that is because um, you know, Chilton liked control. He liked to control his inmates, and any time an inmate would probably have a visit out there or anything like that, he would probably do the same fucking thing to anyone else. He would try to make them feel like whatever they're doing jack shit. And that's kind of was Chilton's thing. He didn't want Lecter to move or be transferred, or in fact, the whole reason why the mayor even or the senator, um, even though Lecter actually calls her a mayor. Um, the senator actually she wanted his help, and that's why he ultimately went elsewhere and into that locked facility where eventually he got a hold of Chilton's pen, which some people don't realize that he did, or didn't realize at the time that he did, but he did. And he ended up, you know, whatever happened. But we do get a little bit of Clarice's backstory with this whole backwards and forwards with Hannibal Lecter, because evidently her father and mother had died, and she went and stayed with a farmer and his wife, and they what she didn't realize at the time and how young she was is that they were in fact slaughtering,
Making lamb chops.
yep, making lamb chops, but the noises of the screaming of the lambs just terrified her, and that's where we get the title of the movie.
Silence of the lambs.
Yep.
Been called the screaming of the lambs.
Yeah.
But which is why I think the dialogue is so important here. What did you say, Tammy?
What do you think about the whole, at the same time, there's Buffalo Bill, and he's got his cute little dog Princess, and she's down in that well, the the senator's daughter, and this is where everybody talks about, it puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose. So
Yep.
what does everybody think about like that whole setting? He's got her down there, how he's treating her, he's mimicking her, you know, just being a really, really nasty to her, but yet he's holding this cute little dog and calling it princess.
I
Precious.
think the name
Precious.
was Precious. Yeah.
Yeah. The name of the dog was Precious.
Why
Oh,
Precious?
precious. Okay.
But yeah,
Precious.
which there have been a lot of names dealing with that in Lord of the Rings. So, um, but yeah, I think this shows like what kind of power this dude has over her right now. I mean, he's got her in a place that she can't exactly get out from. There's no telling how many days she's been there already. Um, and I guess in his mind, he's just trying to keep the skin on her uh, uh, fresh, so that he can sew it into the rest of his suit. You know, but we don't realize entirely right now exactly what his agenda is. And he is exhibiting to us over time that his state isn't exactly in a mentally normal state. Although what exactly is normal, people, we don't really know. But as normal as one can possibly be, do you think that there is something wrong with Buffalo Bill and his mindset?
He's skinnier than a nutcake.
So, do you think what he's doing is cool, kosher?
I'm not a psychopath, no.
What about you, Tammy? Do you think what he's doing is cool or in any way entertaining?
Well, I think he's quite a psycho, but I think the actor portraying him is doing a very good job of looking like a complete psycho. You know,
Yeah.
when she starts crying and he sits there and mimics her crying, that's just like
Oh,
that
Yeah,
is
that was fucked up. It was good. Good
yeah.
scene. Fucked up.
Well,
yeah.
and later we eventually get a moment where he is like dancing to some music, and he's completely naked, and he's tucked his member underneath it, and we see his Australian bush all out in the open. It's it's getting into that mindset of how crazy he is. You know, he's imagining himself as a transformed woman. And one of the things that I think I think of at this point in time, this worked because one thing that Hannibal, I think, had said to Clarice is that this is a man that has probably tried to apply to get his gender changed, and
Was in
um,
like 3 or 4 times.
yeah,
Uh,
and was denied. Which in this day and age, it's a hell of a lot easier to get yourself transformed. But
uh,
in that day, at that point in time, it wasn't a normal thing. You know.
yeah, and one thing I noticed about that is they apparently only talked about gender surgery, but not about hormones and stuff, which is also a part of the transition, which I think in real life that's actually done before the surgery, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, in this
Relevant
story,
story.
sorry, what?
Not really relevant to the story.
Not really, but I guess if one was going to go down that route, yes, hormone surgery would be involved or whatnot. If that was what, although Hannibal said that he thinks that he is transgender, not that he is.
Yeah, yeah.
He thinks that he is. So he's
Well, yeah, Hannibal thinks that he was rejected and that whatever he is doing
Hannibal was
wrong,
right.
is the reason why he was, this is what he's doing because he got rejected. Because we don't find out till later on what he's really doing with these women.
nope. And in Buffalo Bill's mindset, he's just trying to be the, the best woman he can be. Uh, but um, he's going about it all the wrong ways and ideas about it. And unfortunately, we lived in a world where those kind of ideas were not exactly accepted. So
uh,
I'm not exactly sure how. I mean, in the '90s, I believe that's when things were starting to turn around for the transgender and the uh, alphabet, community, the LGBT community. I would kind of put them under, but
uh,
um,
yeah. Although I must say it's interesting to notice that since Hannibal Lecter is talking about, he says that this guy thinks he is transgendered, but he really isn't. That means that whoever was writing that story at that point in time, they already knew that being transgendered isn't really something that one can choose, that one can choose, or something that people just decide to be or not to be, but that it really is something that you either are or are not.
well, it's not always so black and white, but there are a lot of people who believe in everything is black or white. It's either yes or no. It's either short is long. It's either high or low. There is no in between for some. But in this case, for Buffalo Bill, he was kind of like in between. Like I'm not even sure what the hell he was. But
Uh,
um,
He thinks he was a woman.
yeah, he. That's basically what it was. But
well, I think it was explained pretty well why he thought he was, but why he wasn't really.
oh yeah,
No, Hannibal said he thought he was a transgender. Explained why he wasn't a transgender. I don't think he thought he was a transgender. I think he thought he was a woman. That's why he hit his penis. That's why he had a boyfriend. Like I don't think he thinks he's gay. I think he thinks of himself as being a woman, and a woman is gonna be with a guy.
Who?
That's what I think.
and of course, by the third meeting of Clarice and Hannibal. Shortly after that, she brings back his drawings and whatnot. He, in fact, escapes. What he does to the one cop is quite gruesome, and the other cop, he takes his face, and he is able to escape by making them think that he is, in fact, the police officer that was down.
Yeah, that reminds me. Sorry for interrupting, but I just must make this joke. When they found out that he apparently escaped, and when they entered that room and found one guy hung up and the other one, who was actually Hannibal, but we didn't know it at that point, was on the floor, right? And he made this guy who found them. He made a call to someone and said, "2 officers down." And I said, "No, one is up."
You're bad.
Sorry, what?
I said you're bad.
I'm bad.
You're bad.
Well, I do have some morbid humor, I will admit that.
I didn't say it wasn't funny. I just said you're bad.
Oh, so you didn't find my joke funny, thanks.
I know. I said the opposite.
He did think it was funny. It's just he's being sarcastic.
Oh.
Well,
So,
yeah, see, I straight out said it. I just said it in a way that he might not understand because English isn't his first language.
I do think that his escape was
Probably.
brilliant, and and I do think Clarice was right when she was talking to her African American friend, which,
And
to be honest,
okay, her friend.
there's another TV show that only has one season that kind of delves into that friendship a little bit more. They were on that TV show. It was called Clarice.
And it was made to be lesbians.
Yeah, they were in fact close to being like that. Yes.
See,
I'm
I've never even seen it. Or heard
Yeah.
of it.
It was good, and I thought that it was going to have more than just the first season, but they ended it. It was stupid. Why start something and then don't continue it, at least on in
Always did.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
I just don't get it. It was good, but anyways, that series kind of dealt with what happened after Hannibal, I think. But getting back into this story, so Hannibal, he does in fact escape, and like I said, she was having a conversation with her friend, which she thought that and wasn't worried that Hannibal was going to come after her because, in a sense,
They would consider it rude.
Yep.
She was
So, which I think she was right about that, because
He was right. He called her and even said that he wanted to go after her, and then told her he wants the same courtesy, and she's like, I can't promise that. And he said,
well, I must go.
I gotta go. I gotta have an old friend for dinner.
But
And then we see
yeah.
asshole Warden.
So I think that's pretty much how the movie ends.
Yep.
But we do have to talk about the whole fact that she did in fact find Buffalo Bill, and how she found him
Oh,
was
oh yeah, that was actually a part that confused me. Uh,
okay. So she actually went back to the drawing board and found out that the first victim actually knew him, actually knew Buffalo Bill. So she went
yeah.
back to that first
Hannibal
victim.
told her that.
Huh?
Hannibal told her that.
Yep.
He said, you know, what do you do when when you admire something or whatever, and he's like, she
Uh,
knew him.
What I found confusing was when she was interrogating the father of that girl who was killed. She received a phone call from the FBI saying that they already knew where the killer was and they were on their way to him. But then somehow they ended up at some, I don't know what place, and she ended up with the killer instead. How did
Well,
that
they're gonna do that in
Well,
movies to make it seem like the police are at the right place, and they're not, and or FBI, whatever, are in the right place, and they're not, and the main character is at the right place. Now,
yeah, but
I
you got to
don't
go
get
back.
it. Why did she go there by herself without any backup?
But uh, but how did she even end up at his place? She was
Because that's what
Figured it
most
out. She did some good old
most
fashioned investigating and police work and figured it out.
But she
yep.
didn't realize it was him
They were going by a
until she
computer,
saw them off.
not knowing what to do.
I
Uh,
yeah
When she
yeah
saw them off, then she knew.
I forgot when she visited that place. Who did she actually expect to find?
oh, see, if you both had let me
I think she
continue,
might have
if
expected to find the woman, but when she saw I found him, she knew it was him. So yeah, like I said, she still should have called for some kind of backup or
yes,
something. But again, she was a rookie, so it's very intelligent rookie, but
but
definitely a rookie mistake. And she's just lucky she didn't get.
But
if you let me
if
explain, I can explain it a little better.
okay, like if she was supposed to find some,
When she found out from Hannibal Lecter that the first victim actually knew him, she went back to that family's father. He allowed her to go into her bedroom. She looked around the room, saw the various photos, went into another room, and put two and two together that there was someone that was involved with tailoring. There was a mannequin and and inside the closet. If you remember the body that was found in the river
The dive.
before, had some
Yeah,
diamonds
and
cut into it,
that's when she figured it out. He's making a.
uh,
making a
diamond.
suit. So she went around town to the local grocery store, which evidently one of the cashiers is actually friends with the initial victim, and she was asking her this friend if she knew if there was a tailor that was in town, and the the girl mentioned that there was this woman who lived nearby that did some tailoring for her at the time. So she went to that house thinking that she was going to find the tailor lady. But guess who answered the door? And
Right,
at the same time,
And
just not long winded.
at
and
the same time is when she was on her way to this home, is when Director Crawford called her and said that don't worry about it. They found exactly where this man was, and told her what name and all that jazz. And he said, "You know what? Continue to investigate, but we think that we found him."
uh,
So she continued onto the house to continue her investigating, and she came across the man. Uh, and she asked if she could come in. He said, sure. And I guess he's got a card from the lady from before. And
Uh,
that, and it was while he was looking at the cards and finding this card is when a moth, that death's head moth, came flying in. And it's when she saw that moth is when she told him to put his hands up.
yeah, but the part that I didn't understand is if that address she received, if some tailor was supposed to live there, how exactly did that end up being the place where Bill was?
He probably killed the old lady, or she died, and he moved into the house.
Correct. In
Ah,
fact, the body that was in the tub later on, who do you think that was?
the tailor.
Yeah, ding, 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 ding. You win a
Ah,
prize.
okay.
That chicken dinner.
Now it makes some more sense.
Yeah, whether or not dude might have been her son or whatnot, it's very possible that the lady, the tailor, uh, might have been someone that the dude knew, or or whatnot. Don't really know. All I know is he took over her house, and that was how she found him. She accidentally found him. You know, it was just because she was looking down an avenue of where this chick might have gone. You know, and she noticed the tailoring crap in that extra room, and noticed and she found uh, pictures of herself of I don't know who took those pictures, but it almost makes me think that Buffalo Bill might have actually taken those pictures that were hidden in that musical box that she looked at. But there were
Cool.
pictures of the victim of of how fat she was or how thick she was, you know. But they were taken like she hadn't taken them, like someone else had taken them. So it made
Yeah,
me,
they were polarized.
yeah, they were polarized
Looks
pictures,
like she was modeling for him.
which made me think that Buffalo Bill might have actually hidden those pictures in that music box.
Possibly.
But what did y'all think about uh, her reaction? What happened next? The fact that dude was using night vision
Oh yeah, what did he need that for?
to toy with her.
Oh, okay. Mm, I
Kind of the
must.
whole,
Well, yeah, when he shut off all the lights, he had the night vision, and she couldn't see him.
Ah, uh, oh yeah.
Although he
Mm,
was, he got right up to her and everything. He could have done something, but as soon as he cocked that
mm.
gun, that was lights out, dude.
Uh,
Even though
that
he had the
kind
night.
that kind of explains it. When the screen went dark, I actually had no idea what was going on. I didn't even realize that he had turned the lights off. I thought he had maybe knocked her unconscious or something. And then I saw her walking around as if she wasn't seeing anything, as if she was blind. And there was that green filter, and I didn't realize what the whole thing meant. That it was supposed to be her walking in the dark with
I know
lights off.
normally nowadays in films you usually see a green screen to show that, like, or a red screen, you know, like a neon screen of some sort to show that someone's doing night vision. Like I could see if you were watching like an episode of Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventurers. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those TV shows, but they do a lot of things with night vision. Ghost hunters would go into homes, set up cameras, and do and try to capture shit on camera. Okay.
Oh,
Or Ghost Adventures. I like Ghost Adventures better because they would actually go and try to piss off the ghosts. That's what they would do. But yeah. Yeah. So ultimately,
Ghostbusters.
huh?
So I like the real Ghostbusters.
Oh, the old television show with the gorilla.
No, the old cartoon.
Oh, the one where we actually get a real Slimer.
Well, Farmer was invention of the cartoon.
But in any case, so he eventually turns his gun, which I think that's a magnum of some sort. He clicks it, and she turns around and she just fires away at him, and I think that's why she actually gets him is because she's like so fidgety that she multiply blasts him, and he's like almost instantly dead, you know. And then of course,
Oh yeah, she lets him have it. She hears the cock of that gun, then she knows exactly where he is, you know. So she, you know, from her training, I believe, is when she heard the gun cock, she knew where he was, you know. And so that's when she turned around and she let him. Well, yeah, she let him have it.
oh yeah. So of course, I do remember that the victim actually was screaming at her and called her a bitch to let her out and stuff. Don't leave me here. Which I guess I wouldn't exactly call my soon-to-be rescuer a bitch, but
Right? Well, she wasn't in her right mind.
no, I guess not.
oh yeah, I must say when that happened, I kind of had a prediction about how it might end. I thought that since Hannibal had escaped, that he would somehow end up there, and since Clarice left Catherine there and didn't save her right away, that she might get bailed out, but while she is dealing with him, that Hannibal might kill Catherine and eat her, and that then it would be Clarice's fault that Catherine wasn't saved. I thought it would end something like that, but good thing it didn't. I guess it would have been kind of predictable in that case.
No, instead it kind of ended the same way Queen of the Damned ended, where Marcus was going after David and Lecter was going after Chilton. So
The exception, well, I don't know if there's more books, but there was a bunch of books. Queen of the Damned wasn't the second book. It was the second movie, but it wasn't the second book.
no, it was, I believe, the third.
If you read the series, then you know what happened.
Yep. So, but I just thought it was kind of interesting how
Whatever the hell her name was, that played
in a sense. Do
Play
you
the
get why I say that it was similar to the Queen of the Damned
but
ending?
the Robert Townsend is established as that.
Because they both said that they were having friends for dinner to me. So, uh, but in any case,
So after this, we see that she is rescued, and she's clutching that poor little pup, and then
Oh yeah.
it pans to the I believe a graduation ceremony, and Clarice glad graduates, and I think she's given some honors for solving this, and everybody congratulates her, and she gets a phone call.
yep, she gets a phone call from Lecter. Um,
Oh yeah.
that's the one that Kroll mentioned earlier. That's he's having a. I'd love to sit here and chat, but I'm having a friend for dinner.
But he also makes sure to tell her that he is not coming for her, that the world is better with her in it, or more
I don't play for dinner.
interesting with her in it, and not to worry, because the world is
As
more
long as
interesting.
you don't come after me.
No, you just ask her to give him the same courtesy because he's not going after her. But she said, I can't do that. So he didn't say I'm gonna come after you. He called. No, he didn't say that. He was just trying to get her not to come after him, which he should have been smart enough to know that wasn't gonna happen.
No,
I think it's just kind of freaky how he knows when to call her, when and where,
He's brilliant.
and he is like on some freaking island or whatever, but he knows when and where to call her.
He was in Buenos Aires.
yep, and he was watching the nervous Chilton get off with his uh, only one bodyguard, which he was still nervous as fuck. That son of a bitch better be scared.
He
Oh
deserves
yeah.
whatever's coming to him.
Yeah.
In any case,
The guest of honor at dinner.
I think we are now at the production. So, Crow, what did you think about production?
I thought it was pretty good for its time and age.
Okay.
Thing looks pretty decent. Yeah. That's about it.
Okay.
Anthony Hopkins fucking phenomenal, like I already said, and Jodie Foster and the guy who played Buffalo Bill. So can't complain there.
What about you, Boris? What did you think
Oh,
about the production?
I also thought it was pretty good, especially the parts with the gore and with the when he ripped this officer's face off and made himself a mask that actually made everyone think it was that officer. That was quite well done, and yeah, the scene in the elevator and that guy hung up, and what else was there? Oh yeah, the corpses and all that. It looked really nasty, and quite well done, quite nasty to watch. Yeah, for that day and age, I would say it was as well done as it should have been.
Well, yeah, you almost wonder if Anthony Hopkins enjoyed the role too much, especially when he was taking that baton to the policeman's head, and it just looked like he had that slight smile on his face while he was doing it. But I do like. I think I like the initial setup of him just standing in one place and watching Clarice come in, and he's like, "Hello, Clarice," and I remember ever since that movie, there have been several movies that have kind of like spoofed that particular thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the remake of Doctor Dolittle with Eddie Murphy, where they're going through the adoption place and for dogs, and uh, one of the one of the dogs calls out and says, "Hello, Clarice," or some shit like that. And honestly, since I know you have suddenly gotten interested in Ginger Dead Man, I will not name scenes, but you probably wouldn't get the jokes without this movie. So, um,
Huh.
but
Interesting.
yeah, so preparing you for that movie.
Fair enough.
But in any case, I enjoy. Uh, I thought that wherever this place was, and that they filmed Buffalo Bill's lair in, that was just something else. I mean, she went down some stairs, and the thing seemed to have like a labyrinth of sorts. It was an interesting lair. So I thought that was cool. That whole setup. I mean, it's like, how far down the rabbit hole do you really want to go? You know.
Yeah.
But what about you, Tammy?
Well, I thought for what they had to work with, production was really great, and like you said, I especially like the. I guess it was supposed to be the basement of the house because it was, like you said, like a labyrinth, and then it had that big old well and everything else. It was quite interesting, and I do agree. I think especially when Hannibal or Anthony Hopkins is when he's got that police baton and he's hitting that cop. Oh my god, it seems so real. I mean, it really seems like he is enjoying that. I mean, the look on his face is just, you know, every time he hits him, it's just like he's enjoying it every time. It's like, wow, you really get that feeling. Um, yeah, I think they did really good because um, there wasn't anything to like CGI or nothing in here, and I don't think that was at the time that this was made. I don't think that was a big thing, anyways. So,
Oh, I
like I
think
said
so,
before,
yeah.
in other movies, I like movies that are for real. That they don't have all that stuff in them, and it's like that they use what's available. So Um, yeah, I think they made it. I think they made everything look really good. You know.
Okay. Heading into the music. What did y'all think about the music? I mean, there was some music that Buffalo Bill was dancing to that I'm not even sure what the fuck it was.
Ooh,
Well,
it can probably be found. I wasn't looking into it too much, but it.
Seems like it was some type of 80s music, you know.
Oh yeah.
It reminded me of like Billy Idol, actually.
Okay, so this is what was on the soundtrack: "American Girl," which was the song that was playing in the girl's car.
yeah.
uh,
Um,
oh yeah.
"Alone" by Colin Newman, "Sunny Day" by Book of Love, "Real Men" by Savage Republic, uh, "Goodbye Horses" by Q Lazarus, "Hip Priest" by The Fall. Uh, and Das klingt so herrlich, Act One, The Magic Flute, which was composed by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, was what was being played on the music box.
Hmm.
But I think the Hip Priest is what was being played while he was dancing and showing us his pubes.
Okay.
So, but in any case, let us go into favorite scenes and or favorite characters. So, Horace, let's start with you. Favorite scene or scenes or favorite character.
Sorry everyone, but my favorite character is Hannibal Lecter, and my favorite scene was most definitely the part where he escaped. That was quite creative and morbidly hilarious, especially when it turned out that the officer who was apparently still alive was actually him with the guy's the real officer's face as a mask. That was quite creative and morbidly funny, if you ask me. Uh, I just didn't kind of end up understanding where did he actually get that piece of metal that he used to unlock the handcuffs.
Paperclip from the files.
Oh, huh. Okay,
That's my guess.
But for
that's
how he took
that's
that pen.
interesting, but
Oh,
He
how he
took
got out
that
of the
pen.
handcuffs?
yeah, like where he got that thing that he used
I
to
thought it
He
was
unlock.
took the
from the
pen.
pen.
Sorry, what?
I thought it was from the pen.
Oh,
He took dude's pen, and you know that he took it because when he went to go sign the papers over at the airport by the airport there, he couldn't sign the papers because he didn't have his pen. He had to get a pen. That's because Hannibal had taken the pen when he was still at the original place. He left it on Hannibal's bed, and Hannibal took it. And he had that pen, and he took it apart, and he kept that
oh,
one little piece. And when the time was right, he used that piece to open the handcuffs.
Yep.
oh, I see.
and then he didn't have to stab anyone with the pen because the officer had left his baton out in the open. So he just beat him to a bloody pulp with it, and then skinned the dude's face. Which, to be honest, there are aspects of Hannibal Lecter that are taken straight from Ed Gein here in Wisconsin, if I
Oh,
remember correctly.
oh,
Um,
interesting. I think he was the inspiration behind Norman Bates, correct?
Correct. I think there were other serial killers that Hannibal Lecter is kind of like clinically, but Ed Gein played a big part of who Hannibal Lecter is. Don't you agree, Tammy? Tammy,
Tammy, hoot hoot.
Tammy, are you there?
Oh, sorry.
Did
I
you
had my
get
mic off.
kidnapped by Buffalo Bill? Sorry.
Do you think that that Hannibal Lecter, some of what he is, was taken from Ed Gein?
Possibly. You know, they could have been like a little bit of a background for it. You know.
Okay. What about you, Kroll? Favorite character and or favorite scene?
Well, I'm gonna go different and say Hannibal, and Clarice close second. But he's so damn good at being bad. Um, he's just a fucking great character, and Anthony Hopkins just really brings him out. Um, favorite scene. Hmm, it's it's probably the end when when Ham was like, I gotta have an old friend. I gotta go. I got an old friend for dinner.
Yeah, that was a good pun.
Kind of a great way to end it. Definitely tell you there's more coming, and even though he's a villain, he's just such a great character. Like I said, you kind of root for him, but you don't. But still, you just want to see what more crap he's gonna get into. um, yeah. So yeah, I'd say that's probably my favorite scene.
Okay. Is that pretty much it then? Alrighty. Tammy, you told us your favorite, right?
Not yet.
Okay. Favorite scene and or favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character, of course, is Hannibal. Oh boy, favorite scene. Well, I like the whole scene where he goes nuts on the cops. Man, I mean, it's so believable. It's so wow. What do you want to say? It's just it really you really going crazy on this cop. It's just um and then as the scene continues and you realize that he took his face, and it's like wow, just like crazy. That whole time right there is just yeah. But my other favorite scene is the initial meeting with him and Clarice. And then he does that little, that noise that I can't do it. But
I maybe can't make that noise, but I can make some other weird noises.
so yeah, that would be my favorite. So David, did you do yours?
No. My favorite character is Hannibal, as well. There's just something clinically about him that is just, you know, um, especially that initial meeting. I mean, just him, just watching her come around a corner and standing just so effortlessly still and just talking to her without moving a muscle is just uberly creepy. You know, the the whole conversation is, especially when he even instigates that her relationship with Crawford is a little bit more than norm. You know, he said something close to the effect that do you think that he possibly would like to fuck you? You know,
I,
um,
yeah, he seems to like using such lines in movies.
but there's just something about him. And my favorite scene or scenes, I like any interaction between him and her. It's just that quid pro quo attitude. You know, I give you something, you give me something. You tell me something personal about you, and I'll think about telling you something that might help you and your situation. You know,
Oh,
and how great
yeah.
that he was. It was those. I mean, I liked his escape. That was cool, and I did like his whole humor about the whole situation.
I really
Uh,
thought that was him up on the elevator too, and I thought he was just like kind of passed out from blood loss or something. So when you know he was moving and moving the stuff on the in the ambulance, I'm like, why is that guy moving the stuff? And when he took his face, I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking Hannibal. I didn't get it. I totally didn't. I usually do, but this time it was totally like, oh shit, it's Hannibal. So they got me. They got me good on that one. That was really good.
well, that's good. Good that a movie was able to surprise you.
That's for sure.
So that means it's a good movie. So
But sometimes,
uh,
sometimes I find out really early. Other times, like right before the reveal. But this time, it was like even after kind of the reveal, it was just you know I was still kind of like, what? Wait, what? But it wasn't until, like I said, until he physically moved the face that I realized it was Hannibal. So give him props for that.
well, I guess the skin face mask was good enough to fool anybody. But don't let that get you down, ladies and gentlemen. So
I
yeah,
remember of, um, House of Thousand, not House of Thousand, Devil's Rejects
uh, yeah,
walking around with that man's face
yeah.
or husband's face. But
But yeah, those are my favorite scenes, and I do kind of get a kick out of the ending where he's like, you know, I'd love to sit and chat, but I'm having a friend for dinner. You know, it's just so quotable at times. Mayor, and one more thing, Mayor, love the suit. He does call her a mayor. It's not a senator. He calls her. So I get that she's a senator, but he calls her a mayor. Which I wonder if it's a fuck up on his part. But if it's a
Oh,
fuck up,
good point. I didn't notice that.
because he literally the last thing that he says is, oh, and one more thing, Mayor, love the suit. You know, so it's just those little tete-on-tete dialogue moments that I just freaking love. So, in any case, hopefully you all out there have enjoyed our discussion on this film. I'm glad that we were able to get you guys to watch this film. And next week, we're not done with Hannibal Lecter. I want to see what you guys think of Brian Cox in the role of Hannibal Lecter. The first time that they had actually put something of Thomas Harris's to a film was in a film from 1987 called Manhunter, which deals a little bit more with the story of Red Dragon, which ultimately gets retold in a movie later on in 2006, I believe. But in any case, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought about our discussion, and just go out and see the movie if you have not. I'm surprised that these two mothers haven't seen it yet. So, but definitely a classic and a must-see movie for them. Though I know that there are a lot of people who are not horror fans, but still like this movie. So,
Makes sense.
but everyone say good night.
Good day.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Well, I'd love to sit and chat, but
I gotta go. Bye.
I'm having a fiance for dinner.